What practical steps could you take to improve your self-leadership? If I look back on my own progress in this area, there have been 3 events that have made a substantial difference. The first was getting involved in a well-managed 360-degree feedback process early in my career. It helped to identify my professional strengths and weaknesses, build self-awareness and focus my developmental activities. The second was finding professional roles that suited my nature. This took a while, and it wasn't until I was about 35 that I was clear on the roles that suited my nature, the way I learn and work, and what I'm good at. The third was discovering some tools to help improve several self-leadership skill sets, such as building personal resilience, managing time, and reflecting to learn from experience. In this presentation, we will look at 4 strategies that leaders commonly take to improve self-leadership. This builds on some of the more focused guidance we have already covered relating to clarifying your personal values and using knowledge of your personality to improve your leadership activities. The first strategy is to build self-awareness. One of the more frustrating things about working in leadership development is that some of the leaders who need the most help don't realise it. They have low levels of self-awareness. They avoid seeking honest feedback. They have many blind spots. Don't let this become you. Here are some steps you can take. Seek frequent feedback from colleagues, especially when working in a challenging leadership role. Ideally, feedback should be frequent, originate from a variety of people, and come from a variety of settings. Find ways to reflect on what you are learning about yourself as you gather experience and get feedback. Healthy reflection processes ask, what did I try to do? What happened? Why? And what did I learn? Experience and feedback is converted to a positive plan to improve. In short, become a reflective practitioner. Use the guidance previously provided to clarify your personal values and identify those personality traits that can potentially help or hinder your leadership. Reflect on your life story to build self-awareness. For example, consider what intrinsically motivates you, whether you are the same person in all aspects of your life, and what experiences have shaped your core personal values and your personality. Identify your leadership strengths and weaknesses. Reflect on how you learn and work best. The second strategy is to use a sound understanding of yourself to guide your leadership development activities. Build a personal mission statement that describes the kind of leader you want to be and what you want to achieve. Identify roles and organisations that are likely to suit you. These contexts should allow you to be yourself, use your strengths, suit your personality, and involve work that aligns closely with your core personal values. Use a personalised leadership development plan to focus and organise your activities. A good plan will include your mission statement, personal values, strengths and weaknesses, and specific actions to help you improve. The third strategy is to work on important self-leadership skill sets. Whilst everybody's leadership development needs are unique, there are some self-leadership skill sets that commonly appear in leadership development plans. These include improving time management ability. We don't really manage time, we can only manage ourselves. Exemplary time managers are clear about what they want to do with their life, what's really important, and are able to distinguish between urgent and important tasks. They can also use a variety of techniques such as building a time budget or conducting a time audit. These skills can be learnt. Building personal resilience and managing stress. A colleague of mine at the University of Queensland refers to leadership as a disruptive influence. Typically there is resistance, setbacks and conflict. Leaders need to develop personal resilience, the ability to bounce back from hardship. Again, there are techniques and tools that can be used to do this. Clarifying personal values and communicating these values to colleagues in a way that feels authentic and is culturally appropriate. Seeking frequent feedback from colleagues on leadership behaviours. Leaders need to be persistent and have an experimental mindset to find methods that suit their colleagues and local culture. Identifying reflection methods that leaders can use to learn from experience and identify ways to improve. Again, leaders typically need to experiment with different methods until they find one that works well for them and is sustainable over time. Career planning also commonly features in leadership development plans. Often, developing leaders realise that they are not in a role or organisation that is likely to bring out their best. Activities often include working with a mentor or career counsellor to explore options and plan a career transition. Keys to success typically include being clear on personal values, professional strengths and intrinsic motivators. Proactively building social networks to generate new employment opportunities is also valuable, given that approximately 75% of jobs are secured through informal networks. Whilst it is beyond the scope of this course to provide detailed guidance on all of these skills, my advice would be to start by seeking assistance from others. Sources of assistance include human resource professionals, leadership coaches and mentors who are proficient at these skills. The fourth and final step is to recognise self-leadership is an ongoing process. Our self-leadership needs will change over time. Our personal values will probably evolve. Our mission statement will also probably change over time. New leadership opportunities will arise. Our resilience will be tested from time to time, and, importantly, our strengths may become weaknesses as our leadership context changes. You will be in a good position to recognise when changes need to be made to your self-leadership activities if you are frequently reflecting on your experiences, getting frequent feedback from colleagues, and using a simple leadership development plan to guide your professional development activities. Effective leadership must be built on a strong foundation of self-leadership. People who excel at self-leadership deeply reflect, are self-aware, and actively manage their life so they can be at their best. They also recognise this is an ongoing process. Let's conclude with a real story of an impressive emerging leader that I met 3 years ago. She joined a leadership program I was coordinating at a time when she was uncertain as to what to do with her career. She was working in an organisation that didn't share many of her personal values, and she was demotivated. Self-leadership was a focus for her developmental activities. She built self-awareness, explored her personal values and nature, identified her professional strengths and weaknesses, and sought to identify the types of roles and organisations that would suit her best. Following a discussion with a highly experienced mentor, she chose to move to a new organisation. She immediately appreciated the move, even though her new role was not ideal. The organisational culture was now aligned with her personal values, and she sought to identify a better role. She focused on networking, studying for an MBA, and getting help from mentors. After 2 years, an opportunity arose for her to create a new, more senior role that involved work that she loved and leading a new team. After 3 years, plenty of hard work, and some courage, she had found an organisation and role that could bring out her best as a professional and leader. That is self-leadership in action.